Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Luffy will finally understand the deeper reason behind Shanks' sacrifice for him, and you're about to see how insane this really is. This is the true Abyss, based on the bombs the current manga is dropping about Imu, the Abyss mark, and hidden connections that change how we view. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Everything. Hey everyone. Get ready for a mind-bending One Piece theory. Luffy discovering why Shanks really sacrificed himself for him, all tied to the Abyss. Mark, Imu, and a gamble that rewrites the very beginning of the story. One Piece keeps exploding with revelations that brutally connect past and present. Shanks' sacrifice in Chapter 1, when he loses his left arm saving Luffy from a Sea King, seemed like pure heroism. But the recent chapters, especially starting from Chapter 1152, show there was a much deeper and darker reason behind that decision. Everything connects to Shanks' mysterious origin. In Chapter 907, he appears meeting with the Gorosei in Mary Joas as someone with full access, requesting to speak about a specific pirate. With the revelations in Chapter 1084 about Garling Figureland and the lineage of the Celestials, and then Chapter 1152 confirming that Shanks had direct ties to the world government, it becomes clear he was never just a regular pirate. And that's exactly where the Abyss mark comes in. Introduced in Chapter 1152, this mark that Imu grants to elite allies gives absurd powers, extreme regeneration, abyss-based teleportation, and even possession-style control, as seen in chapters 1167 and 1170 with the God Knights and Herald. In the flashback from chapter 1152, Shanks appears with both arms in a hot spring in Elbaf, and there it is, the mark on his left arm. Identical to the Holy Knights, Shanks received that mark due to his connection to the Figureland line and the top of the world's power structure. He kept it for years, maybe to spy from within or out of strategy, just as his free entrance into Pangaea suggests. But when he meets young Luffy, he sees the potential of Joy Boy, what Roger had been waiting for, as shown in the flashbacks in chapters 576 and 966. Shanks decides to bet everything on that, to sever any tie with Imu and ensure that Luffy would be the one to defeat the Eternal Ruler. He uses the Sea King's attack as a once-in-a-lifetime chance. He lets the monster rip off the marked arm, physically removing the mark and any remote control. His Haki blocks regeneration, as chapter 1170 shows that advanced Haki interferes with that process. With the arm gone, Shanks frees himself for good. He becomes a pure pirate again, passes the Straw Hat as a symbol of trust, and sails off watching Luffy grow, as seen in chapters 1054 and 1079. He intervenes in Marineford in chapter 580, and now actively pursues the One Piece because Nika's awakening in chapter 1044 confirmed his gamble. Imu grants the mark to high-ranking elites to ensure absolute loyalty, with powers akin to the Gorosei and Holy Knights. Shanks gave all that up for total freedom. In chapter 1085, the attack on Lulusia shows how dangerous that control really is. Shanks chose the opposite side. The left arm, the heart side, symbolizes cutting blood ties and forced loyalty. Shanks gives his true trust to Luffy and to Roger's dream. The recent Elbaf chapters, with possession mechanics and mark rules in chapters 1167 to 1170, explain exactly how extreme damage removes the permanent pact. When Luffy finds out, likely in a reunion in Elbaf, or at the end, the impact will be devastating. He already carries the title of Joy Boy, but learning that Shanks sacrificed immortal power and broke ties with Imu because he believed in him since East Blue will push his resolve to a whole new level, Shanks didn't weaken by losing his arm. On the contrary, he became unstoppable because now he acts solely on his own will and is bet on the new era. That explains why he stopped the war at Marineford and guides events from the shadows. The mark granted regeneration and teleportation, but chained its bearer to Imu's will. Shanks kept it initially due to his proximity to the Celestials, but after meeting Luffy, he prioritized freedom. The Sea King was the perfect tool. An external attack, no suspicion, and it still saved the kid. Two objectives with a single strike. Luffy will understand the sacrifice wasn't just personal, it was a declaration against eternal control. The parallels with Roger are direct. He laughed in chapter 967. That's why he bets on the new generation in chapter 434. In the current manga, with Elbaf advancing rapidly, and Oda confirming the arc ends in 2026 before entering the final stretch. This revelation fits perfectly. The Giants connect to the ancient Joy Boy, and Shanks has history with them. Imu represents absolute control via the mark. Shanks represents total rupture. The lost arm is the price of full autonomy. Luffy, with the strongest conqueror's haki, will break remaining marks on allies in the future. But Shanks already broke his alone, inspiring the path. This theory lines up with every breadcrumb planted. From Chapter 1 to Chapter 1170, Shanks chose apparent weakness for true strength, freedom over granted power. When the final confrontation comes, Luffy fights to honor that gamble made decades ago, justifying the sacrifice that freed Shanks and paved the future. And here's where the theory gets even heavier, because if the Abyss mark can be removed through extreme damage and advanced haki, it completely changes the endgame of One Piece. Imu doesn't govern solely through fear. He governs through dependency. The Abyss mark isn't just a power contract, it's an anchor. It ensures that figures like the Gorosei, the God Knights, and allied kings can never act 100% on their own. They gain immortality, regeneration, and teleportation, but lose freedom of choice at the deepest level. And that's exactly what Joy Boy always represented, the opposite. In the most recent chapters, it's clear that Elbaf isn't just a giant arc. It's a living archive of the forbidden history. The Giants know the original Joy Boy, they know the meaning of the drums of liberation, and most importantly, they know the Abyss, not as power, but as prison. That's why Imu fears Elbaf so much. Shanks returning to Elbaf in Chapter 1152 wasn't nostalgia. It was confirmation. He went there to make sure the choice he made back in East Blue aligned with the true history of the world. And everything indicates that the Giants know exactly what it means to remove the mark, not only physically, but spiritually. Now connect that to Luffy. Gear 5 isn't just a transformation. It ignores rules. It laughs at reality. And most importantly, it cancels absolute authority. Nika's awakening is literally the natural antidote to Imu's system. When Luffy finally understands what Shanks did, that he gave up immortality, celestial status, and granted power just to ensure someone could grow up free, it will change the way Luffy approaches the final conflict. It won't be defeating Imu. It will be undoing the Abyss system. And here's the most frightening detail. If Shanks managed to remove his own mark alone, Luffy can do it on a global scale. Supreme Conqueror's haki, combined with Nika's full awakening, can break pacts, free allies, and do the unthinkable. Turn enemies into free people for the first time. Imagine the impact that would have on the Gorosei. Imagine one of them, centuries bound to Imu's will, suddenly feeling the control shatter. That's why Imu never tried to eliminate Luffy directly from the beginning. He tries to erase islands, stories, symbols, because Luffy isn't just a physical threat. He's a domino effect. Shanks understood that before anyone else. That's why he never tried to become Pirate King. That's why he never wanted to sit on the empty throne. His role was always to prepare the field, break his own chains, and make sure someone could run free where he no longer could. The straw hat was never just a symbol of a dream. It was proof Shanks had already chosen the opposite side from Imu since Chapter 1. And when Luffy finally returns that hat, not as a child, but as Joy Boy complete, it won't be a happy reunion. It will be confirmation that the gamble worked. Shanks lost an arm to gain freedom. Luffy will break the world to ensure freedom for everyone. And when the Abyss falls, Imu won't just lose power, he will lose control of history. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.